Well, we moved to Ottawa a couple of years ago, and you have to apply to volunteer and then be accepted, and then you have to get a criminal record check, and you have to go to orientation and that sort of thing. As soon as I heard there was a fostering program, I was interested in doing it because I'm used to having pets in the house, and it was sad not to. So having temporary pets in the house that is also doing a good deed sounded like an awesome combination. Right now we have a mom, Lila, who's about 1.5 years old, and her 4 kittens who are 4 weeks old.
Hello, guys.
Lila and her kittens came to Sarah from the Ottawa Humane Society. Sarah is responsible for monitoring the health of the cats while they are in her care. This includes tracking the kittens' weight until they are old enough for adoption.
Alrighty. I'm just going to weigh the kittens to make sure that their weight is increased. If they go a little while without gaining any weight, then it means that there's trouble. And then we have to take them into the vet. It's really nice to have animals at home, especially if you grew up with it. It is something that I missed, and it helps a lot, especially if you're in a new city, you don't necessarily know that many people. Having somebody who's prepared to snuggle with you at the end of the day is a pretty awesome thing. Basically, adoption is very permanent and it is expensive. So fostering lets me have animals in the house. It's free, so I get to have animals without what can be a restrictive financial burden, and it is a good deed for the OHS as well.
Ottawa has recently experienced a surge in its stray cat population. This puts a strain on the resources at the Ottawa Humane Society. Foster homes are desperately needed for cats with illnesses. Without foster volunteers to take sick animals, they risk infecting the healthy pets at the shelter and compromise their chances of being adopted. Tessa Kirchhoff works in the fostering department at the Ottawa Humane Society. She says fostering can work for people like Sarah, who aren't yet settled in one place.
There are a lot of people that they're going to be in Ottawa for 2 years or 3 years, but aren't really planning on staying here past that. So they're not ready to adopt an animal and have it full time and have to move with the animal and that kind of thing. So they're able to have animals in their care in the meantime.
And they are just so cute. Plus, they never grow up because you can have like a fresh supply. So you just swap over every couple of weeks and eternal kitten farm. I would say it's a good solution when you're younger. With some caveats. It's not for anybody who hasn't owned a pet before. You do have to have experience. Most of the time if an animal is being sent out from foster, it's because it's sick or it has behavioral problems. And if you're an amateur, you're not going to be able to help with behavioral problems and might not know what to do with a sick animal. The first pets that we got to bring home were 2 adult cats, Apple and Cupid. They had upper respiratory infections, both of them, so that's one of the most common causes of getting fosters. They're very contagious among cats. It's basically a cat cold, but there's so many cats at the OHS all the time. If anybody gets a cold, they try and send them out to foster volunteers as soon as possible. Otherwise, all of the cats will get them, and then they can't be adopted while they're sick.
Putting them in a home setting helps with their comfort levels, so it's a lot less stressful for them, and they're able to recover a lot faster.
The kittens are just about 4 weeks old, so once they hit 4 weeks, they need supplement with actual food because they start to get weaned. Also because the smallest one is a runt, and I'm worried that she's not getting enough food, so I'm trying to give her extra, but she's not very excited about that idea. The first 2 sets of pets that we had a 50% survival rate.
Hey guys.
With the first 2 that we had, Apple and Cupid, Cupid was fine. Apple had a gum disease that would have required expensive care for the rest of her life. And as an already adult animal looking for adoption, they thought it was too big of an issue to ask somebody to adopt a cat that would have been in pain for the rest of her life and required expensive care for the rest of her life. So she was put down. It's definitely sad. It sucks and it's hard for a couple of days, but it is also something that I've experienced before. Kittens take a couple of weeks of life before they figure out how to use a litter box. They're pretty messy as babies. And I want to give them a nice clean environment.
And for little friends like these, foster homes are always in high demand.
We do have over 11,000 animals that come in per year, so certainly there's always a need for foster volunteers.
Bum shot and the koi turnaround. You hussy.